Thanks for joining me today, Tracy, and sharing your story with us. I'm glad you're here.
My
Today,
pleasure.
we're going to talk about something powerful, bounce therapy, showing people that even gentle bouncing can support the body in powerful ways, especially during difficult seasons. So, let's start off with a little bit about your journey.
Well, my journey, let's see, how far back should I go? Well, let's start with the rebounding journey. Towards the end of last year, excuse me, I was looking for more ways to get active and just knowing that this was something that I needed to do for myself. And so the first thing I found was a vibration plate because I was hearing a vibration plate. I said, oh, let me get a vibration plate. But then I would look for information on YouTube about the vibration plate. And then I started seeing rebounder. I was like, well, what's a rebounder? And so then I see the rebounder. Oh, a mini trampoline. Okay, that sounds fun. And the more I saw, videos on how it cleans the lymphatic system and all of that, I was like, this is really cool. Now, somewhere along the way, I started feeling some pain in my left breast. I had breast cancer in 2017. And I went through chemo, the radiation, the surgery, all of that. And so now I'm very aware of when my body is telling me, hey, warning sign.
Very
So
good.
I go to get that checked out. And it was like, okay, well, there's nothing there. There's some cysts. And so sometimes they're a little painful. But it turns out that my right breast had cancer cells. So it was like, ah,
Wow.
so, so I'm thinking maybe I can rebound this out.
Hmm. Yeah. I've actually heard of doctors. One, he actually prescribes it as one of his life-saving things. So that's so
See,
great.
but my doctors were like, yeah, no, that's we need to handle this quickly. And
Right,
so
right.
since I've experienced it the first time and listened to my doctors, I said I'll go ahead and listen to my doctors, but once we get through this, I'm going to be committed to rebounding, committed to making sure that I move this body and drain all the lymphatic toxins out of my body as possible.
That's
So that's
beautiful.
pretty much where I am. I had my surgery in February, on February 20th. And then once I was starting to feel better from that, I started getting on and just doing really gentle bounces, just not
Mm,
bounce, just kind of
hmm.
rocking side to side and
Yeah,
moving just a little
like that
bit.
health bounce. That's right.
Yeah. So that's what I started doing. And I share because I want my friends that I know don't do anything. They don't want to
Mm,
exercise. And so I'm
hmm.
sharing, listen, I'm going through something, but I want you guys to do something to make sure that you keep your bodies active so
Oh,
that you
that's
don't have to wind up going through things that may be preventable.
right,
And
right. Good
sometimes
for
we're just
you.
destined to get stuff, right? But so that's the whole reason that I share.
Okay, I love it. I love that you're inspiring others because, especially the body after surgery is in a healing state. It's
Yeah.
not in a performance state, which you already
Yes.
recognize. So, like high intensity workouts, like your friends not wanting to do, can actually stress the body even when we're in just a normal state. So, things
Mhm.
like gentle bouncing provide like that circulation that you talked about, the stimulation and triggering things like stress hormones that intense workouts do that gentle bouncing will never do. So things like, lowering cortisol and helping the lymphatic system, like you stated, is very important. And this also helps to the body for it to heal faster, actually. So instead of moving backwards, we're moving forward and the body is getting stimulated like it needs. And
Yeah.
this is something that, I talk a lot about with people. Your body responds really well to consistent stimulation and something that like a 30-minute workout just really won't cover. And like your friends, that are kind of nervous about. It's kind of interesting because I kind of went on a burnout journey myself. So things like circulation, lymphatic flow, even our energy levels, they all depend on movement happening throughout the day. What was the hardest part of your particular physical journey during this time?
I would say probably the hardest part, just making sure that I didn't overdo anything.
Hmm.
Sometimes you feel like world, and it's not time to conquer the world yet. So you need to make sure that you're just kind of listening to your body
Mm,
and just taking it easy on yourself, and understand that you'll know when you're able to move a little more forward and stuff. And so listening to your body, and also tuning out people that want to tell you what to do.
oh, yes.
When you share what's going on with your health, and I know people are well meaning, but I am bombarded with eat this, drink this, don't do this, no, don't go there, do this, don't listen to those doctors, do this. And it's overwhelming. I'm not a mean person, but there are times I have to tell people that's enough. I'm good. I'm going to follow
Yes.
the pattern that I'm on. I'm listening to my doctors and I'm listening to me. Thank you so kindly, but let me go ahead and take care of me, and I'm gonna be okay, you guys. Like this.
You're right, right. I'm really glad that you shared that actually, because as my holistic background, I really found that like self-care became more of like a checklist. And so it was just so, I don't know, so overstimulating, so much noise out there. So I'm really glad that you shared that because I believe a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
We're often taught that if we can't do a full workout, we shouldn't do anything at all, or we should do all kinds of different things. And it's just really a lot of noise. And what I teach people is what's called microdosing. And I'm not talking about mushrooms or anything like that. I'm actually talking about bounce sessions. So, like 3 to 5 minutes, a handful of times throughout the day is really the best way to support our internal systems and our overall wellness. And I think that you sharing this is really great to hear because so many people think, oh, I have to get my 30 minutes in, I have to get my hour intense workout, when really something as gentle bouncing can be perfect for especially a healing journey or an overstimulated nervous system. At what point did movement become so important to you?
I always loved dancing, right? And
Late.
so understanding the journey that I was on, I said, you know what? And you start thinking of back, and I'm gonna date myself a little bit here, but back in the day, you had Richard Simmons, who was
Yes.
dancing to the oldies, right? And there's something about that connection to listening to music that made you feel good during a certain time,
Yeah.
and you danced it. So I mean, his oldies is different than my oldies. My oldies might go back to the 70s and 80s music,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but and I love new music too. But what I like to do throughout the day is like just turn on a song. Like I might hear a song and I'm working. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play that and I'm gonna bounce to that, right? And
Hey.
so when I get a moment, then I'm like, okay, let's play that song, bounce for a little bit, and then get back to work. And so for me, understanding that the first time that I had breast cancer, I really wasn't doing anything. I had my own business. I was at home on this
Mm.
computer trying to create videos and do social media marketing and just all of this stuff. But I was on that computer and I did not move. A
Oh,
whole day
yes.
could go by where I just stayed on the. I'm trying to figure out how to edit this. Oh, I'm running into a problem. Let me go to YouTube. Look. So always busy, busy, busy,
Yeah.
but not physically, not
Yeah.
moving around, right? And so when I
Yes.
started, that journey, I started hearing more and more the importance of moving.
Mm.
And so I'm getting older and older, thankfully, right?
Right?
And just understanding that if I don't move, kind of like you buy a juice, if you're not shaking that juice up, it's
I
gonna
love that.
get
Oh, that's so good. I'm glad that you are enjoying the movement, and music has always been, I say it's actually saved my life. It has been a really big journey for me. I went through depression really hard. So movement for me literally saved my life. And music was one of those things that was just so powerfully healing.
yeah.
What made you choose the rebounder over other forms of movement?
It's fun. Everybody knows me to be the hula hooper, right? Because
Okay.
that's what I normally do. So people always send me videos. Oh, Tracy, hula, and people are doing fancy things. I'm like, Yeah, I just keep mine up, right? I can do a little movement and keep it up, but I'm not all into the tricks and stuff. So there's that. And then I have a walking pad, and I was enjoying my walking pad, but then it quit working properly. So I was like, so then again, that's when I came into the vibration plate and I was like, oh, this is cool. But the rebounder, totally different. And even though I'm not jumping up to the sky, because like when I told my doctor after the surgery, I said, yes, so I want to do rebounding. And she's like, what's that? And so I started talking about she's like, oh God. I said, no, no, I promise I'm not going to be jumping up and down, but
Mm,
it is so much fun. And so I
right.
find that, if I'm on there, even if I'm just like dancing, it there's something extra that happens because of that lift off of the floor.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
that gravitational
it's
force.
yeah.
I
And so
can't
I
wait
think
till
it's so
doctors
cool.
find out about rebounding. I really can't. It's so powerful. It really is.
And it's fun.
It is fun. It like I said prior, it regulates your nervous system. So a lot of people don't want to work out or do anything because they actually have this fear base on it, right? It's stressful, it's overwhelming, all these different things, mind and body overload. And so when you're gentle bouncing, you're helping your circulation, your blood and your oxygen levels. You're supporting the lymphatic, which, doesn't have a pump. So it's very important to move throughout the day, like we stated prior. And then, like I said, regulating that nervous system so the body and mind can move throughout the day with more ease. And it brings more peace and clarity in what you're doing without, adding stress. We don't need any more added stress or more things to do throughout our day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So it becomes something you can actually come back to throughout the day, which I love that you stated that, throw on some music and just start bouncing, just a few minutes every day is really important. Micro movements create macro health, right? Meaning you don't need intensity to create impact. You just need consistency and rhythm. So, what does a gentle bounce session look like for you? I know you explained like you like the music a lot, but showcase us like through a day now.
So I might wake up, go drink my chat GPT called it lawnmower juice for me. So I go drink this terrible tasting juice. I get a cup
Is
of
it
that, drink that.
wheatgrass?
And then it's not wheatgrass. It's soya. I forget the
Okay.
name of it,
Okay.
but it's like all the greens, celery and broccoli. I think is in there, and spinach, and just a whole bunch of stuff,
Oh, I bet that
and
tastes great.
ginger. Ugh. It's not, but I've been pretty good at making sure I get some of that in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then take my vitamin D, K2, R2, D2, whatever, some vitamin I take, right? And drink some water, and then go ahead and get on my little bounce. So I keep it right where I work. Is there all the time. It's if
Yeah.
I'm going outside, I'm walking past that rebounder. So every day is right where I can see it, you know. And so I'll go ahead, put the speaker on, jam it out for just a couple of minutes. Maybe it's a song. Sometimes I decide I want to hit a goal of 1,000 steps.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep the Fitbit on, and I'll put my turn my phone on so I can see it on the phone and watch the steps. Right.
Okay. Okay.
And then once I get to my 1,000, I'm like, okay, I'll take a break now, and then I'll jump on the computer or do some cleaning or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
usually that kind of a combination type of morning for me. And then again throughout the day, sometimes the Fitbit will say, "Hey, you got to move," and I'm like, okay. So then I'll get up. Now put the speaker on. We got a jam. We're gonna jam it out.
Yes. I love
So
that. That Fitbit can become so useful for us, especially like people who are content creators and people that have, online businesses and stuff like that, where we set constantly. There was a
yes,
study done, I believe Cleveland, Ohio did the study, and they showed that people that even like I think 2 to 4% of the population of the world actually works out. And even that 2% thinking that they're doing that 30-minute, that 60-minute workout is doing a good thing, which yes, there are some benefits, but it showed if you do that workout and then you're sedentary the rest of the day, you might as well not be doing anything. There was
Yeah.
no benefit in the long run. So I'm really glad that you helped share that, and hopefully that helps other people just figure out how they can throw it more throughout their day.
Mhm.
So, how do you feel after a light bounce compared to those days that you don't normally get it in?
I feel like a kid that went to the playground, you know?
I totally relate.
You get off, you're like, did it, that was fun. Still kind of from it, go get some water and stuff. And so mentally I feel good because I did something,
Yeah.
and that it was fun. This was not something that was hard on my body. There I watched a video on YouTube that was talking about why are people so much heavier now than we were back in the 70s.
Okay.
And it's because back in the 70s, we didn't drive as much. We went outside to play.
Hmm.
You walked everywhere. If you had to go to the store, I had to walk to the store, and the store was not close to home. And so school wasn't close. I was in between. It was too far for the too far. Kind of too far for walking, but not, but too close to be able to get the bus passes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I had to walk. And so you stayed thinner back then. You walked because you had to. You did things because you had to.
Yes.
Now we live in this age where the food portions are bigger.
Mm.
Um, we don't have to drive. There's everything is taking over for us. We can't remember people's phone numbers anymore because it's already programmed in the phone, right? And so if we don't do something, then it's just again that juice is sitting at the bottom and it's getting stuck. It's
Yes.
getting thick and stuff, but we're not shaking it up.
That's
So
right.
yeah, so that's my mindset right now. I'm just trying to make sure that I maintain for however many more years I get left on this planet.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're conscious of that because I think it's just now becoming more noticeable. I'm really glad that you brought that up because we do move less, and sometimes just a few minutes of the right kind of movement can completely change not only our energy, but our mind and our body and the way that we feel. So, especially after like a surgery, for instance, the fascia can really tighten and become really adhesive.
Yeah,
But gentle bouncing helps rehydrate and mobilize that fascia and it restores gliding between the tissue. So you actually feel looser throughout the day, which is really great. That childlike energy that you were talking about,
yeah,
and it supports mobility, reduces stiffness, and helps the body feel more like itself again, or, that younger self that we chase all the time.
that's right.
On another note, I would love to add here that I think you'll love this is that the lymphatic system is deeply tied to the immune function, right? And so when it's stagnant, not shaking up that juice bottle, the immune response actually weakens. And so gentle bouncing helps circulate those immune cells throughout the body, which helps the body's ability to defend, repair, and rebuild after traumas or surgeries. So,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
pretty interesting stuff.
It
What
is.
would you say to someone who feels too tired or even afraid to really get into something as simple as bouncing?
I would tell someone, and I try to do this all the time when I do share my videos, is that you don't have to make this difficult. Just get
Hmm.
on it. Just get on it and rock a little bit. Just see how it feels to just kind of rock side to side. Don't try to bounce, Like there was a video on YouTube that somebody shared with me, and it was this girl, she's a heavy girl, but she's getting it in with that rebound, bounce, bounce, bounce. I said, wow, I'm not there. I'm not there.
Right?
But even if you're not there, it's okay. And one
Mm.
of the things that I've started looking into that I want to start sharing more videos on is there's certain ways that we can bounce that will help with opening up our hips more,
Mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
taking
Mm-hmm.
care of certain aches and pains. when we
Yes.
focus on those areas, right? And so, I mean, I don't know all of that yet, but it's coming to me instinctively that it's out
Nice.
there.
That's wonderful.
So I want people to understand that, you don't have to worry about the what do you call it? Uh, Bouncing, what do you call it?
The
When it,
cardiovascular intense
yeah,
workouts.
yeah, the high
Yeah.
intensity workouts. You don't have to worry about doing that. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are, on the heavy side and stuff. Their health
Hmm.
is not good. I mean, most of my friends, we're all 60 and up now.
Right,
And
right.
so, there are people that are afraid that, oh, I'm gonna fall off. Well, use the stabilizer bar if that's what you need
Yes.
to do. If you don't, if I took my stabilizer bar off because it was getting in my way, but you can put a chair nearby or something that you can hold
Hmm.
on to so that you can do it because it's really not that scary.
I
It,
love that.
it's really fun, and I just hope more and more people will check it out. It's not a super expensive thing. Once you buy it and you have it, you don't
Yeah.
have to go to the
Some of
gym
the
to
even
use somebody else's.
exactly, and some of even the more expensive ones, the $500, $600 ones, are guaranteed for life. So
Yeah.
even if you make that one-time investment, it's so worth it because sometimes the cheaper ones, they can get you started, but really
Hmm.
after a while, when you upgrade, you can just totally feel the difference. I know I
Yeah.
did. I'm
Yeah.
really
I'm
glad that
getting
you
close
shared
to
all that.
wanting to upgrade because I'm like, I need more room. This one's small. I want to
Yes.
stretch out a little further. So
Es-
I'm getting,
Especially being one that likes to dance and move. So I would totally agree with that. I'm glad you shared that. This is where like something like, bounce therapy can really meet people where they're at, just like you just said. And because it's gentle, it's simple, and it doesn't require that push past what your body, it push past that resistance that we all come across when we're like, oh, I got to work out kind of concepts.
hmm hmm
And after like a medical event like lumpectomy, many people feel disconnected, even fearful to move. So bounce therapy is approachable, safe, and repeatable, which helps to, rebuild that confidence, body awareness, and trust that movement is good for our body and it's something that is critical for long-term health.
hmm
What do you hope someone takes away from your story?
I hope get rid of fear, you
Mm,
know, and I hope that this inspires people to want to do something. For years, we hear so many people saying, do this, move, get your body going. And it's like so many other things. You don't do it until you feel the need to do it.
mm,
And so for me, it was over the years that I started understanding more and more that I need to do this for myself. My daughter is uh, making me stay here until I'm 100 at least, and
I
in
think
order for
that's a
me to
great goal.
in order for me to do that, I got to keep moving. As they say,
Right.
move it or lose it. So
That's
I'm
right.
hoping that people will be inspired by what we share
Uh,
and being able to tune into you all the time and just keep their eyes on what's going on in this world when it comes to this.
right, right. Really see the holistic side to bouncing and that gentle bounce and what it can really provide for you. I think that is going to resonate with so many people who feel like they're not doing enough when in reality, what you're doing is exactly what the body is asking for. What would you what you've shared, is really just reinforces something that we don't talk about enough and the body and how it responds better to the right kind of stimulation. And the body doesn't run off just chemicals, it runs off of signals. And many of these signals are from the lymphatic system, the fascious system, the nervous system. And it's not about more intensity or not doing anything at all. It's just really, like you stated, simple, gentle movement that can really help our day to day. So, is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we end our time today?
You know, I think of music, back to the music thing. And, when I would watch the Ellen show years ago, and she would dance her way down and dance through the people and stuff. And I always thought that was really cool. And
Mm.
so, if we have that mindset to just really have fun with our life, and if you're not the best dancer, it's okay. You don't have to dance to impress anybody. It's the movement, that's all. And
Oh,
so, and I've also learned the importance of swinging those arms. So I get on
mm,
my rebounder. So I'm better now because before I was more guarded as far as moving my arms while I was still recovering from that surgery.
yes,
But
yes.
I feel better now. And so moving those arms, get that blood pumping, have
Ah,
fun, whatever it is. You like I said, you don't have to do the Dougie or any of that stuff. Just have fun.
I absolutely love that. Tracy, you really helped reveal what it looks like to keep going in a way where your body can actually receive it. You even were listening to your body when you knew you couldn't really move your arms very much, but you were willing to just get on it and keep on going. And to you watching, if you're in a season where things feel hard or different, you don't have to stop. You might just need to move a little differently. It can be gentle, it can be simple, and it can still support your body in ways that truly matter. So, if this conversation resonated with you and you're wanting to take a simple step forward, I've put together a free lymphatic ebook and a free bounce blueprint quiz to help you better understand your body and how to really start supporting what it actually wants. And you'll find both of that in the description below. But also, if you'd like to learn more about Tracy and support what she's doing, I'm also going to be including her information there as well. Take a moment before you leave and check out what's below. There's a lot here to support you. I want to say thank you so much for being here today, Tracy. Thank you for sharing something that will really be meaningful to us all.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Glad we were able to connect in the rebounder group, and I look forward to further connecting.